Hi, this is Hassan Korani. In this video, we are going to continue our chapter about functions for grade 10. The objective of this part is solving graphically equations and inequalities, which is a very important title for functions. Graphical resolution of equations and inequalities. In the first part, when we are asked to study the sign of f of x, you know, sign in mathematics means where it is positive and where it is negative and where it is zero. To study the sign of f of x, where f represents the name of a certain function, we solve usually f of x equal to 0, f of x greater than 0, which means positive, and f of x less than 0, which means we have to look where the f of x is negative. Let me remind you that f of x represents the y values, the ordinates of the points of the function. Let's understand this by this GeoGebra activity in the example 1 or function 1. Let's consider this curve of a certain function f. And as you know, to study the sign of this function, we have to look where it is positive and where it is negative. As you know, the y values here, the y values are positive when we are in these two quadrants, which means above the x-axis. So here, in this colored region. So we'll look where the curve, which part of the curve lies in this region above the x-axis. Simply, in fact, this is the required part which lies above the x-axis or on the x-axis, since we have f of x greater than or equal 0. So here the function is 0, and here f of x is all the y values are positive. So the solution of this inequality will be the x values of these points. The x values of these points are in fact all this semi-straight line from -2 closed interval till plus infinity. This is it. So f of x, when you are asked to solve f of x greater than or equal 0, just look for this part or parts that lie above the x-axis and take their x values, their abscissas, to be the solution of this inequality. Let's see where f of x less than or equal 0. As you know, f of x, the y values are less than or equal 0 or negative below the x-axis. So this is the required region, the blue region, under the x-axis. So the part of the curve that lies under the x-axis will be this part, this red part, as you see here, and the solution of this inequality will be the x values of these points, the abscissas of these points, which are these abscissas, which is the interval minus infinity, in fact, till -2, closed -2 and open at plus infinity. This is the case. Let's see another example about the same idea, but with another curve. Considering this curve, as you see, again, f of x greater than or equal 0, we look where the curve lies above the x-axis, which is this case, and this is it, the green one. The green parts are above the x-axis, and the solution of this inequality will be the abscissas of these points, of all of these points on the curve, which will be interval. In fact, at this interval, these points, in fact, this part of the curve will be go above and will have this interval as a solution, as abscissas of these points. Similarly here, so the solution will be this interval from -infinity till -1, closed at -1, union 1 closed till plus infinity. This is the solution of this inequality. Okay, Let's see another case, the second case, where f of x less than or equals 0. As you know, f of x less than or equals 0 means the y values are negative, and as you see, the parts of the curve, the points of the curve that have negative ordinates or y values will be this part, as you see, and this is it. In fact, in this part, we have in this under the x-axis, and the solution will be the abscissas of these points, which are in fact, as you see here, and this is the solution. This is the solution from -1 till +1, closed here. In case we don't have or equal here f of x less than 0 strictly, so just exclude both points, -1 and 1. The boundary is -1 and 1. What if we have, let's say, this case, the curve, all of it above the x-axis? In this case, f of x less than or equals 0 has no solution. Why? Since there is no part of the curve below the x-axis. All the curve is above the x-axis, and thus this inequality has no solution. While in this case, f of x greater than or equals 0 for all values, as you see, all the curve itself above the x-axis, so the solution will be from -infinity till +infinity. All the x values are solutions for this inequality. This is it. Okay. So the summary of these three cases, f of x equals 0, graphically the solution is or are the abscissas of the points of intersection of the curve CF of f and x prime of x. The intersection between them when we are asked f of x equal to 0. F of x greater than 0 will be graphically the solution is or are the abscissas of the points of the curve CF that lies above the x-axis. The third case, where we have f of x less than strictly 0, graphically the solution is or are the abscissas of the points of the curve CF that lies below the x-axis. Always remember this note, greater than 0, this means the curve that represents this left part is above the curve of this, which is y equals 0, which is the x-axis. And similarly here, less means relate these symbols. Less with below, greater means above, and equal means intersection.